Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Adam Talks. This is the United Stand. We're here to talk about everything that's gone on over the last 3 days, as we do every week. It's not a show that I really am looking forward to. I've had to bring in some real support, some hardcore United support to help me get through this video. It could only be one man, the man himself, Mr. Structure. Nuruddin, welcome to the set. Welcome to the United Stand again. This is going to be a difficult show, but together we're going to get through it. But first of all, I'm not going to ask you how your weekend was, but how was your Monday and probably today? Are you okay?
7 stages of grief. Going through the grieving process, mate. Yeah, thanks for the invite. One of the worst as a United fan. One of the worst weekends ever.
Mate, it's an equaling record defeat in our club's history, so it's going to be hard to take. Doesn't matter who you are as a football fan, how long you've been supporting Manchester United. If you're walking the planet right now as a United fan, you are feeling the worst ever defeat in the club's history. That is what it means. That's what that weekend was, wasn't it, mate?
100%. And the thing about it is against them. Like, if it's against Wolverhampton again, mate, I'm not, honestly, it's not going to hurt. If it's against, you know, Brighton, if it's against Fulham, any of these teams that we don't have rivalries with, it is them. That's why it hurts, because it's them.
It's exactly that, it is. So, we're going to get through all the headlines, we're going to break down everything that's happened. We want to concentrate more. We're going to touch a little bit on what went down, but we're looking at the aftermath more in the show, obviously, what Ten Hag's reaction has been. There's been a lot of reports from the journalists and the media about what's actually happened at Carrington this week. We're going to get into that. A lot of reports as to, well, what's happened with Bruno Fernandes, all the false leak reports regarding him and what happened on the pitch, which I thought was pretty poor, along with everything else. I mean, no one left Anfield who is in with Manchester United or anything to do with Manchester United. No one left Anfield with any credit whatsoever at weekend. Let's get that straight. But Ten Hag is fuming. Honestly, Nuruddin, I looked at his face on the side of that pitch. If a face could tell you a story, Ten Hag's was very, very clear. A good number of Manchester United players were in for one hell of a dressing down, and apparently that is exactly what they got after that. In the changing room, and again apparently at Carrington this week. You would expect that to be the least that would come out of what happened at weekend. Exactly.
If I was a manager, I would have said, you're all walking back, like from Liverpool to Manchester.
Catch the bus.
That's what I would have done. So for me, imagine letting me and you in there, in that, to go and speak to them. Like, for me, like I don't have any like faith in the players. On the whole, I think they've done reasonably well this season. We've been on amazing runs, but I'm not forgiving this, mate. It's gonna take a lot for me to ever forgive this. Only if they avenge it. That's in my mind, because I'm thinking, well, what can happen? Man United have been beaten badly before in our history. We have been.
Where do you stand with that, mate? I mean, in terms of it's like this cuts deep. But the credit that they've got in the tank this season, obviously our first trophy in so many years. Ten Hag only the second manager in Manchester United's history to get a trophy in his first season. It's past that. It's that bad.
Yeah, so all of those things for me is still, because they're still raw, innit? It is very raw. But in past seasons, in the 90s, when we had heavy defeats, Newcastle, you know, in the same, when I tell people, within the same 7 days, we conceded 11 goals.
Newcastle,
you know what I mean? But you know what? Domestically, we had the biggest trophy with the biggest ears. You know what I mean? We lifted that come the end of the season. So for me, and about who's to blame, what the explanation is, listen, everybody, coaching staff, players, the players who were on the sub, the ones who came on, everybody's to blame. And the idea of singling out different people because people have got their own agendas, I'm not here for that. I am not here for that. Everybody's to blame. I want to have a quick little message, if you allow me, Adam, just to Eric Ten Hag. Obviously, Eric, you're not here in this country for a long time. I don't know if you'll ever see this, but just understand that Liverpool, Manchester United, when the fixture comes out, me and him and every other United fan, we look at the game at home and the game away. And that gets put in the diary. Like, that is the 2 games we look at. So when you go there and we're getting slaughtered 3-0, I'm sorry to say, but you have a duty to the fan base to be able to put a stop to that at 3-0. Damage control is a crucial part for me in management. You have to be able to see what's going on a pitch and what's coming. Their crowd are up. I haven't, in my lifetime, I've never seen, and I'll ask Adam as well, where Man United came back from 2-0 down at Anfield. I don't remember it.
No, I mean, Liverpool have done it. They came back from 3-0 down.
But and they were at home.
We haven't really. We've done it at Old Trafford, but at Anfield it is a different kettle of fish altogether.
And that's where it is for me. But in terms of the players, they're going to have to go a long way. For me, the only thing that can maybe soften the blow for me is like if you win the FA Cup, then I can get the placards ready and send out everything that I've been getting, because the Liverpool, they're the greatest team in their history, and last season they only won 2 trophies. You know what I mean? So if this now, these players who play for Man United, you're going to have to match that at least for us to have any bragging rights. You're going to have to match that. And one day, a Man United team will avenge it. I know that. Deep down, I have to believe that as a United fan. One day, a United team, might not be in our lifetimes, but one day a United team will avenge that.
I mean, it may not be in our lifetime, mate, but Manchester United have always been on the end of these hidings from our so-called big local rivals. Oh, it's either City, it's Liverpool. Like you said, back then it was Newcastle, wasn't it? I mean, it is hard to take, but one thing that this week has done for me, has shown me, is that the world cannot survive without Manchester United. It really cannot survive without Manchester United. The media, the journalist world, everything, you would be out of work if it weren't for Manchester United. And positives I can take from the weekend, it's far-fetched. It's clutching at straws in terms of how everything went down for us. But I look at it and go, it is just full-on talking Manchester United. It's United. It's big news constantly. And that's what it showed to me. It just showed you how big Manchester United is. The institution that is Manchester United. It doesn't matter what happens, win, lose or draw, where we finish in the league. Manchester United have shown this week, in the bad side of things, how big we actually are, because this news is everywhere. Yeah, it's a big result. It's a surprising result. But, I mean, I've seen Barcelona smash Real Madrid off the park.
Yeah.
Then watch Real Madrid go and win another 4 Champions Leagues without Barcelona winning any of them. It's just what it is and what Manchester United are. It just shows you the scale and how big this football club is.
I think as fans, we get tunnel vision at times, don't we? We get tunnel vision because we're so in it in our club, emotionally, like, you know what I mean? We're all tuned in. And the idea that we sometimes forget how big this football club is. We genuinely, and weeks like the result like this just makes it, like, I've got people in Brazil like sending me like photos of like so many journalists in Brazil discussing this result. It's Spain, like everywhere, like, do you know what I mean? Like,
it's massive, isn't it?
So this idea that sometimes as fans we think, because we have the privilege of being from Manchester and going to the stadium, you know what I mean? We sometimes think, oh, it's a star football, but globally how big we are. It shows that we are on top of the headline. Honestly, before I just checked, before I was having a little joke with you, we're not trending anymore. The game's not trending. Like, Man United
took 2 days. Took 2 days for it to calm down on social media.
This is it, and this is it. But for me, in terms of like what the grief is, I just want Erik ten Hag to always understand. Like, Man United have always had mavericks like Fergie. Ten Hag is a maverick in terms of his mind. And a lot of people have said to me when we try to explain the result, is that he's the high risk, high reward type of manager. But I'm like, yeah, I accept that. But I just need you to understand the rivalry and what it means. So understanding that who you're managing, what the club, what that means, and what that game means in Anfield, what it means. 2-0, 3-0, honestly. See on my Twitter, I literally said 2-0, the game over, because I've never experienced coming back. So 3-0, shut up shop, we get out of there, we live to fight another day. And that to me was what was painful, in that 3 of their goals I think came on the counter-attack from their own edge of their own area. But in terms of where the blame and everything goes, things can be forgiven. Players have got responsibility now, like, and we're expecting more than any other time, as United fan base globally, we're expecting reactions. Yeah. We are expecting reactions.
We are going to expect a lot. Super chat in here from Sully says, who hurt Nora? This guy went from the most positive to the most whiner. Oh, we're overachieving this year. Come on, he says. I mean, yeah, in terms of how last season went, we have overachieved this year. But this is a team that has underachieved. It's not so much we're overachieving now. The underachievement was that low that I think everything right now is overhyped a little bit.
100%.
I think we have got a good squad. We're going to talk about possible incomings that's going to strengthen the squad as well.
We haven't got the depth because the subs made sure certain subs came on when it was 3-0 and then we conceded 4 more goals.
I think this was a very, very strange game, to be honest. I've sort of looked at it, and you know what? Everyone who follows me knows that I've got my own YouTube channel, which I do my own little vlog on, behind the scenes and like my whole match day experience, and I didn't even put a video out. I couldn't. I just felt like a real depressed fan. That's what I felt like at weekend. I was just like, you know what? I don't care. I don't care. It's just like everyone just needs to dissect this in their own way, because it doesn't matter who's got an opinion about it or if you agree with that opinion. It was a very, very strange day for all Manchester United fans. World of football, no one expected that result. I was talking to Nottingham Forest fans this morning, who I know, and they were like, what the hell happened? I said, I can't explain it. I don't think Ten Hag can explain it. The players have come out, they're shocked, surprised and disappointed in themselves. No one can explain what happened. You've got Liverpool pundits and fans saying that we're back, this is the Liverpool of old. It's complete crap, basically. It's not. It was a freak game where Liverpool scored 3 goals in 5 minutes, which took the game away from Manchester United, and we reacted in total mental breakdown and lost our way completely. That's what happened.
You know, that's what hurts for me. Like, the most painful aspect of that is that, like, if Liverpool would have scored the perfect goals, you know, like the FIFA goals, like the perfect passing, put through us, did that and scored like 4 wonders goals where they were just on fire. It didn't. It's because we gave up, and that to me is unacceptable.
Yes, that was
like,
the hard bit.
Any level when you represent Man United at any age, you do not give up. You do not give up, and that to me, that's why with some of these players, for me, is I'm not picking out individuals, because in a game like that, when there's results out, you can't pick out individuals. Like, people have got certain agendas, but for me, it's when the way they gave up, and that's what hurts the most.
They did. Anthony Young says he's been a member over a year now. Congratulations on that, Anthony. Remember last season when I was making a point about all the games I was going to, and I was seen as the bad luck charm last season. I've not been to 2 games this season. Guess which games they were, Nuruddin?
City and Liverpool.
City and Liverpool. We shipped 13 goals.
Right, it's him. I'm telling you, it's him. Adam, we're making sure you're there next season, mate.
Some will say, Adam, you're very lucky that you didn't actually go to them games, because I've seen some of the ticket prices for the Liverpool game, and oh my God, scandalous, ridiculous. Still no excuse for them fans that left early. I'm going to stick to that. You get behind the team, you stay behind the team all the way through, then have your say afterwards, by all means, but get behind the team when they're in the stadium. That's what I will say. I think everyone is using their own scapegoats for this game, going on their own agenda-driven hate for certain players. I think it's wrong, especially the Bruno hate that's going on right now. Anthony as well has been in some unfair criticism, in my opinion, but
the easy targets, isn't it?
Easy targets. I mean, every United player is an easy target. It comes with the territory. When you sign for Manchester United, you've got to expect that spotlight is constantly on you, and you're going to have to deal with what's coming from the media, from the fans, from all worldwide press. It's just what it is. We just said it then. The world cannot survive without Manchester United. The world of football cannot survive without United. It's as simple as that. And you're signing a contract for that, in acceptance that you're going to get unfair criticism quite a lot. I'm just going to read through a few chats, actually. Guys, get your comments in, the live comments. You can only comment if you are a subscriber, so do subscribe, hit that bell notification for all your fresh content coming up on United Stand. Pressure is on. If Ten Hag doesn't win, he will go down as the manager with the most humiliating defeats, and it may or may not be his fault, but legacy is brutal, says Monza there. It's fair criticism, says Douglas Blake. I mean, it's fair criticism from each game, yeah. I just don't think you should bring in your old agendas for certain players saying, we've said this before. Well, no. Everything happened at Liverpool, happened on that day, and that's what you can criticise fairly. Luke Shaw has come out, accepted that he was a disgrace himself. They're his own words. He's come straight out after the game. So they know, the players know, and it's like Nuruddin said, we are expecting now a massive reaction from these players. It will be very interesting because I'm at the press conference tomorrow ahead of the Betis game, so it's going to be a pretty cold sort of environment and atmosphere at Carrington tomorrow. It's been one of, I would say, really good vibes and positivity over recent months. It's been a really good place to be. It'd be interesting to see what the atmosphere is like tomorrow around Carrington when we roll up and see how training's gone this week, because I don't think it'll be all laughing and dancing and high-fiving on the Carrington training ground pitch this week, Nuruddin. But we want to get into what has happened. There's been a few reports. All these are actually on the United Stand Twitter feed as well. Ten Hag makes his message clear to players. That, in a colourful language, can't be repeated on TV or on a Twitter post. That's come from Melissa Reddy of Sky Sports. I said it before, Nuruddin. He looked like a man that was ready for going ripping heads off players' shoulders. He was in at 7 o'clock on Monday. Players rolled in at 9 o'clock for a team meeting. You'd expect that with Ten Hag. Does he give you the confidence that under this manager, Ten Hag, we can bounce back from this? Rather than if it was one of the previous managers over the last 10 years, would you be worrying more right now?
Yeah, in a sense, because he's showing it this season. So if you go by past record, City, we got smashed, we went on a run. Got smashed, by Brentford, we went on a run. So like there's there's been runs and runs. So it does give me the confidence. But if any of those players think that he is unreasonable and that, to me, the most thing what I'm interested in, because we're from a generation where players used to rip each other's heads off. I hope that players, a couple of home truths were told to each other in terms of just giving up. Like that, to me, that's the most thing that is not. Listen, you can play bad in any sport. You win, you lose. Like in sport, especially in football, you draw, you win, you lose. That is accepted. No Man United fan is ever gonna say, "Oh, no, that the toughest game away for us is always Anfield," regardless of how they're doing in the league, regardless how we're doing. But the idea of like losing, that to me is a humiliation. It's a humiliation. So to me, they have to hold that. As fans, we have to hold it. By the way, we have to hold that and get the banter from Liverpool fans or whatever. But I'm never hearing it from someone like Arsenal fans and stuff like that. Like, to me, Arsenal are like a little puppy. We've got them on a leash, innit? So, because we gave them 8. We gave them 8. And every United fan out there, you cannot hold anything or any banter from Arsenal fans. Seriously. The only people that can give it, right, and laugh at us and do whatever is Liverpool fans. But in terms of Arsenal fans jumping on a bandwagon or City fans jumping on a bandwagon, nah, for me, you're not here. Ten Hag has to set certain, and I think because it's happened. Obviously, Brentford. Was it the second game of the season? He's new, everything, with all of the stuff from the season before. So we understood that the City, that happened. That can happen. You know what I mean? In the sense that in a derby, their goals came, even though I was fuming, and I can't stress how fuming I was. And when I'm thinking about it now, I'm actually more devastated because it's Liverpool, because let's not forget, Man City would be mid-table team now if you know what didn't happen.
That's
you know what I mean? So to me, it would be like 2 days, they beat us in a derby, and then we were like, oh, okay. And then we just go win the league anyway. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, that's what it was. But Liverpool, for me, like, these players have to understand what they did. And they honestly, to me, they have to put it on the line, and Man United cannot concede goals like that again. That to me has to be the thing. You cannot.
That's what you'll be working on in training, won't it, right now? It's like literally, it is like siege mentality defending wise. I expect United to be very tight in the next few games at the back. I'm expecting clean sheets coming through. John, in with a chat there, says, I'm more surprised I'm still optimistic after such a big loss. I trust the manager. That's a good point. That's how it feels right now. I think that cup final win and the way that things have gone have sort of just levelled out the disappointment a little bit. could have been a lot worse. If this happened under like a Solskjaer and the whole depression that was last season, this could have been a lot worse. Adam, would you rather United not win the Carabao Cup if it meant us not getting beat 7-0 by Liverpool? That's one of them impossible questions, but I'm a trophy man.
I know you're a trophy man, but you know what? I'll take the feeling that I've had. If you said the league title, all day, league title. If Man United were about to win the league, Adam, I'll be like, okay, you know what? We'll send you photos of the parade, no problem. Do you know what I mean? Because the greatest Liverpool team in the history of their club have won one league title. And their defence, they got smashed 7 by Villa in their defence of their trophy. So at the end of the day, if it was to me, it's the League Cup, innit? It's the League Cup, and I know that we've not won it in a long time. If it were the league, I could rub it in their faces. That would give me the massive satisfaction. Yeah. But listen, we're going to have to hold it as United fans. There's no point avoiding it. We have to hold it. To me, this is the last thing I'm going to say on it because I've been talking about it. Adam's been the opposite, complete shutdown. I've been, because different people process different things in different ways. So for me, it's like, okay, where Eric Ten Hag, the players, everybody in that, knowing who you are working for, know the club representing the badge. Now, till the end of the season, I want to see a run.
That is it. Super chat in from Bradley says, it's funny, but the same confidence I had in Fergie when we lost 6-1 to City, I have in Ten Hag. This was unacceptable, but we will bounce back. You know what? I have that confidence in this team that they will bounce back. I've seen things this season, and we've said this. How many times have we spoke outside Old Trafford and gone, you can't ignore the eye test. You know what you see on the pitch and everything, don't you? And you see certain things. When all your players are having an off day, you're going to get a disaster of a result. For United, like I said, for some reason, it always happens when we're at a big game. And it's one of the local rivals that are ready to go. But one thing I will say, before we move the conversation on, and do keep your comments coming in, everybody. We'll try and read out as many as we possibly can. One thing I will say is, it's like, nobody touched on it there, I'm going to add to it. Spurs fans, Liverpool fans, Chelsea, everyone who's been bantering Manchester United this week, Newcastle have all of a sudden found this new lease of life where they think they can banter United and try and make this new rivalry again. It's like, United have been smashed 4-0, 6-3. Yes, Graham Souness, you may have played the game, but all these results that you were making a point of on Sky Sports the other day, in your pathetic argument with Gary Neville, 6-3, 4-0, 7-0 against Liverpool, all these results, you're still all miles behind us. So what's wrong with you, what? That's all I'll say, and I'll leave that one with you there. We give you every chance to try and catch up. Liverpool, who are the closest to us right now out of all that dross, they're still 7 behind us. So, yeah, let that sink in and then try and tell me that Manchester United have been consistently bad this season, like that idiot Graham Souness was trying to say.
But Adam, I just want to quickly say, like, even as a stature of a football club, only Liverpool can come close. So any of these other clubs, you're minor. Literally, I don't worry about you. Like, you're minor. Like, you will never win what we've amassed. Like, you're never going to be the club that we are.
It is a good one for you. And it's like, would you rather be a Liverpool fan right now or a United fan?
No, I'm a United
if you're
fan.
Coming in, no, if you're coming in from the outside, would you rather be in Liverpool's shoes or United's shoes right now? After that result, and yeah, there's the hype and the whole around the week and everything like that, but what season would you rather be having?
Nah.
For me, it's a small club mentality mindset, celebrating one win against a big club. That is small mentality. And after the season that Liverpool had last season, for them to be living on the high they are now and giving it the big one, for me, I think it's a bit rich.
It just tells, like I said, if to me, these players have got to win the FA Cup. Then we will have the greatest team in Liverpool's history, right? We will have the same amount of trophies that they have from last season. When last season they were the greatest team the world has ever seen. Like, that's what pundits were telling us.
Yeah. Do you reckon we'd have an open top bus parade for 2 domestic cups? I don't think even United would do that, would they?
Mate, let the people know, like, the amount of times we won the league and there was no parade. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, because it's not a double. We can't celebrate it because we've not won the Champions League or we've not won the FA Cup. Like, there's levels. I'm sorry to say to you, yes, we're going to hold this result. we will hold it, it hurts, it's painful, but there is levels. So any other, like Spurs fans talk, Newcastle, talk 12-point lead. You had 12-point lead. I would love it. I would love it. You literally, it's part of football history, like the meltdowns that you guys have had. So at the end of the day, that's what I'm saying to you. You said it before, innit? Everybody will tag to it. It'll be really interesting in the press conference tomorrow how many of the leeches are going to turn up and there to try to get quotes from Eric. Because like I said, we are the biggest thing in football. We can't help that. I'm always trying to explain to people, we can't help. We are the number one talking points.
I expect it to be a busy press conference for what is on paper not really a Class A game, you would say. Betis against Manchester United in Europa League last 16 doesn't really attract much attention. But if that 7-0 didn't happen, I expect it to be that quiet one. But tomorrow, I think it's going to be quite lively. Yeah. I think there'll be a lot waiting for some form of reaction, and I think Ten Hag, I feel he'll be ready for him. I think he'll be chomping at the bit to get out.
Yeah, 100%.
After his piece, I think that's what will be happening. Moving on, more quotes from Melissa on Sky saying 2 days before training, it looked like we'd lost a little bit of zip in our training. It wasn't. I mean, can tiredness kick in? I mean, for me as a United fan, and Ten Hag knows. He talks about Leeds being a derby, so we will know what Liverpool meant. Liverpool was when he turned his Manchester United career around when we beat them 2-1 in the midst of the protests and everything. So he knew there's no way and there's no excuse that training can go a little bit lacklustre. It can go and drop its standards. I don't feel like that happens at Manchester United. There are reports that it has dropped off a little bit, but I mean, tiredness, the amount of games, not so much the volume of games, but how big the games, the magnitude of them. I think sometimes mentally can break a player. Tired legs, tired minds. Yeah. Eventually, we will come unstuck. We did in a big way, but if ever was a big kickstart to the rest of the season, it's now, isn't it?
For me, any level, in any age group, Man United team representing Manchester United and wearing that badge, playing away at Liverpool, whether it's in Maywood or wherever, like on the stadium of the first team, tiredness is not something I'm ever going to use as an excuse, ever, because it's against them. It's against Liverpool. Like, you're running on adrenaline, like, regardless how fatigued you are. But obviously, they're human beings, they're not robots. Like, I think in the top 5 leagues in Europe, nobody's played more football than Man United. And I've always said to you off camera outside Old Trafford, and when we get into it, me and Adam, and I'm always like, with this squad, we can't sustain fighting on all these fronts with this squad, because the strength and depth of this squad is not there. But obviously, you're going to try to win every game because that's what football teams do. So for me, it was coming, and I think also winning the trophy. I think there was a build-up to it. The Barcelona game, then having the League Cup final straight after 3 days later, that mentally takes a lot out of it. But like I said, I am not making an excuse for any Manchester United team. I don't care if it's under 13th, under 14th. Never should there be any excuses used when you're playing against Liverpool. You're representing Manchester United and you're away at Liverpool. I don't care. So for me, in this game, no, I'm rejecting that. But of course, it's going to be difficult because with mental and physical fatigue, injuries come. That's why injuries happen, because you're playing a lot of games, and a lot of games, especially when you try to go deep in the competitions that we're in at the moment. So it is, when you look at a bigger picture, you can see and you can understand it. But I'm never using that as an excuse when it's away to the Scousers, mate. Never. No,
that's it. There's a comment in there from Subhai says, I understand most United fans think this is a blip, but we lost 5-0, 4-0 and now 7-0 to Liverpool. Do you think this is a systematic mentality issue with some players in the team? We need to sort this out. That's a fair point. There is that sort of, definitely an Anfield sort of mentality where it's like, well, unless we get the first goal, we're in trouble. Because as soon as Liverpool scored, Nuruddin, that seemed to be what happened, wasn't it? It was like the mentality of these players. And Ten Hag is massive on mentality. It's what he's It's what he's droned on
Yeah.
about since his first press conference at Manchester United, the mentality. Even Jurgen Klopp called them, what is the mentality monsters.
Yeah.
That is a big thing. You have to be able to handle this. And this, I would say, our first season in a long time competing on all four fronts.
Yeah.
We've got to March and we've just, I think, hit our first wall
Yeah.
of the season, really, in terms of what happened there and how disappointed we are in the players. Because we've had blips before, yes, City, we looked at it, we thought, yeah, we got caught cold early, we weren't quite ready, we'd not played for 4 weeks building up to that. Villa, new manager bounce, and Emery, we had a bad start, but really they only had 3 shots on target, they all went in. And then obviously Arsenal, we just had a good game, we lost. This one, I think, would worry fans a lot more because of how we reacted.
Yeah.
It's the mentality of things. And
100%.
I do believe, but Liverpool is done and dusted for the season. We can't play them again now, so something to work on for seasons to come, Nuruddin.
Yeah.
But the rest of this season, we just have to look at it and go, we have to concentrate on what we are.
Did you see that crazy stat that in the last 4 years, so it don't matter who's managing, but the last 4 years, apparently like 13 times Man United have conceded 4 or more goals in the last 4 years. So for me, that says there's something. Obviously, we all know in it, like from when you're young. I remember I used to ask my uncle when I was young, why is this team, I watched them last week or seen their highlights of their game, why are they trying so much against United? And he used to turn around and say to me, it's because they're playing Man United. Like teams, we know that teams, it's their final. It is literally their final. It is a massive scalp because of the size of the club, what we are. And I think the mentality, there is something to what the person who wrote in said, for me, is that when there's something within certain players in this team, when it gets to 2-0, they just throw the towel in. And that is unacceptable. That to me, I did sport as a degree. Sports psychology is massive. Some people, are like, oh, this new ways, No, sports psychology is real. Look at the research that's done into golfing, potting. Like positive mental imagery is huge. But the biggest thing for me is like, what would it feel? It's about coping with the pressure. It's coping with the pressure and being a Manchester United player at Anfield, in the Cauldron, at the biggest rival in world football, being there, so understanding where you are at and understanding that the fans, the stadium, they're all vying for your blood. Can you stand up? Can you stand up? And you know what? In the summer, Adam, I'm going to be more than any game I'm excited about is that first leg, the game away to Liverpool. It's whoever we sign, whatever happens in the summer, that is the game I'm looking at, because I'm thinking, have you show us as fans what you can do on that pitch? Have you learned from that experience? Because that's better, right? There's a couple of them, it's their first ever experience. It's the biggest game in English football, and it's some of them,
football,
what I mean? A lot of them, some of them, especially a lot of them, this is their first time they might have represented other clubs when they've played there, but this is the first time for me as a team representing Man United and have gone in there. So I expect huge things from these players. And I'm thinking on a human level, they're hurting, they're professionals, but at the end of the day, when your manager comes out and says, you are not being professional, you say to that any professional footballer, that's the worst insult you can throw at them.
Yeah.
He's basically calling them cowards, I can use the word coward, Ten Hag uses the word unprofessional. Because he's saying that you've trained all your life to become this footballer, to play one of the biggest club in the world, and you've just gave it away. You've gave in. But there is something to it psychologically, and more things needs to be done. I mean, just to tell people, I think it was McLaren was one of the first people, because he did a lot of research. He went to the US, looked at how elite sport, how they help, because at the top level it's small percentages that can make the difference. And he came back, when he got hired by United, Steve McLaren was massive on sports psychology.
Yeah.
And so to me, it has to continue. The biggest thing for me, any sports psychologist working with any Man United player, is getting them to understand and putting coping strategies in place for them to understand that they're representing the biggest football club in the world, and everybody wants to beat them, and everybody wants to knock them down.
Exactly that. Super chat in from OMR says, I think the fact Liverpool and their fans went in so hard against us tells me we're back. There's a fear here that wasn't there last year. This is the only win that fan base can be happy with this year. It's a fair point. It does show you that Manchester United are attracting that attention on the pitch as well as off it right now. Guys, cheers for tuning in and watching with us today. Do give the video a like. Let's get the likes up on the video. We're going to move on to the next subject now, which is what we are going to be talking about in the near future. Obviously, strengthening this squad. You've talked about it off camera to me, Nuruddin, about the lack of numbers, the lack of quality coming on. You just said it on the show there. We conceded 4 when we started making substitutions. Have we got the quality of depth? The areas where we really need it, where a lot of the areas that people picked up on in our forward line where we were poor more at weekends. Mainly in the first half, obviously chances that we could have scored, which would have changed this game massively. Yeah. Now, we've had many discussions. I've heard you blasting in the background while I've been doing fan vlogs, Nuruddin, talking about a Mr. Harry Kane. Everyone's got an opinion on Kane. Manchester United apparently are confident that we can get Harry Kane in the summer. I'm not. But Harry Kane as a striker for you, Nuruddin, is that the man? Is this, and why?
To be objective, obviously, you can't ignore his record, what he's done for Spurs, how many games, you know what I mean, the amount of goals that he's scored. He's going to go down as a club legend for them, no problem. But for me, the biggest thing is that, Adam, is that under the Glazer ownership, right, I've got the body of evidence to show that Manchester United are going for over 30-year-olds or 30-year-olds as strikers. When was the last time Man United as a football club spent a proper money on a striker at the age of 24, 23, you know what I mean? When was the last time we did that? Why is it like we're going for people or players that are, and then when I look at parts of Harry Kane's game, I look at him for England and then I look at him for Spurs, he plays in that kind of role. Like he drops in, he comes halfway line, he plays as a number 10 more than anything else. And has he got the legs to get around that pitch like Rooney did? You know what I mean? We're used to like having very mobile number 10s. Like regardless what people say about Bruno Fernandes, you know, I don't believe that he was ever a number 10. I think he's more of a hybrid as an attacking number 8. But now that since he's been at United, he's played as a number 10. His lungs and the games that he plays is incredible. And I'm not just using that to defend him, but I'm saying about Harry Kane. When I look at Harry Kane, to me, the pace ain't there anymore to get away from people. He is a brilliant finisher, left foot, right foot, header in, knowing where to be. But I don't want to have another striker where there's a defect, right? I want to get a striker that's on the up. And you built a team, so you bring a player that can play for the next 10 years. You're spending big money anyway, right? So you want to get a striker that is going to be... Now, a lot of people will say, Osimhen, yeah, he's doing amazing. He's doing absolutely amazing in Napoli. For me, the guy that and this is only from watching him, that I think has got attributes and the age that he is Benjamin Sesko. And I could be biased, I could be totally wrong, and I'm happy for people to say that. But Harry Kane, for me, he ain't yet. 5 years ago, Harry Kane, yeah, begrudgingly. Because I will be like, he's a Spursy, innit? He's a Spursy.
Talk about Benjamin Sesko there. Alex Crook from TalkSport has said that Manchester United were actually scouting Benjamin Sesko again last weekend. He's also said that Anthony Martial could definitely be one of the most likely outgoings in the summer alongside Harry Maguire. That's come from Alex Crook of TalkSport. But Benjamin Sesko, obviously, he's set up to go to RB Leipzig right now. Whether a deal can be manipulated or moved around to get this, I don't know. I mean, for you, Nuruddin, what are the positives in Sesko coming in? Is it the sort of not the big name, big failure sort of look on things? Is it the fact that he's been brought through that Red Bull system and how well some of their strikers have done? Yeah. What is it? What draws you into him as a Manchester United player?
Age. To me, the biggest thing is obviously his age, but not because of the age, but it's that he's a young striker. So I would see Manchester United actually for the first time in a long time going for a younger striker. So, and a player that, and now we've got a coach.
People were saying in the chat there that Lukaku was the last type of striker that we invested that sort of money in.
And then what happened after a year and a half, was it? 2 seasons later? Yeah. What happened? Like obviously, to play for striker for Manchester United is a huge thing. Like, you know what I mean? It is a huge thing. For me, what I like about this kid is the self-belief that he's got. When I look at attributes, he is a tall type of striker, but he's got fantastic feet. He can bring the ball down. He's got that bit like Adam, what we used to, like where he does a bit pieces of skill where you just jump off your feet. You're like, whoa, you know what I mean? And to me, I think he is built to go to. If he doesn't come to Man United, he'll go back to, obviously RB, like, and then he'll be off to Dortmund or Munich. Do you know what I mean? Like, and especially if Munich get hold of him, he is that. To me, that's what I prefer. Like,
be a bit more proactive.
Yeah. Like,
Stop the Germany sort of gravy train.
Exactly.
Get there before it gets dished out.
Exactly. And I think he is the next best thing because I just like the player profile, his attributes and the pieces of skills that he can do. Of course, he's young, he's developing, but more than ever before, we've got a coach. We have a coach that can now get his teeth into players and improve them.
Isn't it? That's the big difference there. And this is the manager that made something of Haller at Ajax in the system. So if he finds a striker that works his system, he picked Weghorst because he was pretty much the only one available. He has worked in some aspects. A lot of people going in on him for the result at weekend. Easy target, in my opinion. Unfair, again, for people to use him. But I do see where you're going from. And it's the fact that, you made a good point there, it is the fact that Ten Hag is there now. That's the difference from what we've done before. We've got a manager that now looks like he's going to be at the club for at least a decade, in my opinion. That's just how it feels. So that's where the confidence comes from. When he makes a signing, it feels different. It feels like there's a reason why it's coming in. It's coming in because that player fits that mould for that position, fits his system, knows exactly how he's going to work in that system and has been scouted properly. Rather than before it was, he's a big name, let's just get him in. That's what it seems like.
get the big names in. So
that's it.
You know, I could totally be wrong, and there might be other young strikers that Ten Hag can work with. But out of all of the strikers that I've been mentioning, I look at him and think, you know what, I've looked into his little bit of his life, you know what I mean, and how determined he is, where he came from, his journey. And there's certain players you just think, you know what, I could see him. And when I look at him, honestly, I'm like, he could be a Man United player. Because of his age, because I'm sick and tired, I tell you, Zlatan did brilliant. Cavani, Ronaldo, like, you know what I mean? Like, how many more, like, pensioner? I have a joke with friends of mine on the socials, and we all call it Simmer Frame FC. Like, how many more retirement people come to just get their last pay package, come to retire?
It's been a conveyor belt recently, mate. It really has. I'm just going to get through a few super chats. Patrick Scotsman with his first ever super chat on the United Stand. Everyone says we need a striker, we need wingers. I think we've got quite a few wingers, to be honest, and I do think Ten Hag is moulding them into the type of player that he wants. He will find the right one soon enough. I mean, Sancho, Antony, we've got Ahmad to come back, we've got Palestri in the wings. Obviously, Rashford will be on the wing when we do buy a striker. I do believe we've got multiple options on the wings. I think that is covered. Omar with another super chat says, Glazers did spend a lot of money, a lot on Martial, to be fair, along with younger wingers, but United weren't that attractive for young players until now. It's a fair point. With the way we're playing, with the manager that's in place, I do feel like we are going to attract a lot more players. Added to that, Nuruddin, obviously, Champions League football next season. I'm still very confident that we will finish Champions League. I think we are going to finish third. I still think there's another trophy this season as well. I've said 3. I'm going to have to stick with it because I've said it. But that there is key in what the chat said. It is the fact that we've got a manager in place now and it's looking like an attractive prospect, because I just mentioned them wingers there. I didn't even mention Garnacho.
Yeah.
There's a player that no one would have thought would have come through this season with the amount of wingers that we've got and the amount of money that was spent. I mean, you look at the previous 2 summers, we've spent, 140 million on 2 wingers, and Garnacho looks like he's the most favourable to start ahead of both of them. It cost us 500 grand, mate. That tells you what Ten Hag does and how Ten Hag looks at football. He's proved it in price tags count for Jack. It's about what you do on the training ground and how you fit and work hard in his system.
100%. I mean, the idea that people have a go at Garnacho, like, we're old enough, like, to remember gigs, you know what I mean? And then remembering, like, how Fergie would bring him in, take him out, bring him in, and how, like, this breakout season, I think is one of the best breakout seasons for any 18-year-old. Look at the games. Look at the games that he's come on and he's changed. And yes, he's from our academy. And yes, you know, I'm always banging on about how much Merta needs to go and that. But I give Merta a bit of credit finding him and finding the likes of Fernandes, who I'm also excited for him to see what's going to happen with him when he comes back from a loan. Ahmad tearing it up. So there is options out wide. The biggest thing is, the most hardest thing in football, Adam, is putting that ball at the back of the net on a consistent basis. When you get those chances in big games, Rashford has been...
That's why they demand more money than any other sale.
Exactly.
The strikers are the big money buys. You very rarely get a striker coming through your academy that is the Harry Kane type. Yeah. There is these superstar strikers now, the Benzemas. You've got to have an eye for talent, and you've got to have a bit of luck. Yeah. Because, like you said, there is, and we were talking off camera before about the structure of Brighton and how they work. And yeah, everyone says that their structure and their setup is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it's brilliant for Brighton. Exactly. But that's not the same when it comes to Manchester United. Because Caicedo would have cost 2 million. But would he have hit the ground running at Manchester United like he has at Brighton? With the pressure that comes, you just talked about the cup final every single week. Why it's so important that mentality and sports science is used in training the players' minds to deal with more at the big clubs like United. It doesn't work. Brighton are great for Brighton. Their acceptance of where they are in the league and what they're doing, that's fine. But Manchester United's on a whole different level. Like,
even under Potter, they went on mad, mazy runs, mad games where they couldn't score, mad games where they didn't win. It wasn't the biggest news. At Man United, you lose 3 games in a row, the world has collapsed. You lose, obviously, 7-0, but the world has collapsed. So the idea for me is, like, I would just used to think sometimes, and then I used to always think, why can't we get that player? How come that player perform? I look at players that play for big clubs because I think the pressure that likes of Barcelona, Real Madrid's, you know, the Juventus or the old AC Milans, the Bayern Munich's. In turn, I'm like, okay, can they handle playing for the biggest club in the world? And 100%, you have to have something about you. You can't just be skilled. It can't be just like, oh, because you've done some, you know, you're skillful. It is what the mentality is like. It's because it's a cup every week. And that's why I am so impressed with Garnacho. And the idea that any of our fans are like trying to like have a go at him. He's 18 years old. I did not expect, nobody expected him to have the impact that he's had. He's had a huge impact. So of course, in his breakout season, he's going to have games where he's just learning. He's learning. He's just learning how, and to play youth football, to play under 23s and to play, the gap is huge. It is so big. Then back in the day, what it was, I tried to remind people, the FIFA generation, back in the day, reserves used to be able to, reserves was a competitive, very competitive, because that's where players, if they weren't in the first team, they could keep their fitness up. They would go there if the players would come back from injury. That's what, now, it's totally different. It's like under 18 and the 23s, they're playing kids, it's kids football. And the step up from kids football to the first team, where the pressure, the amount of pressure is on, is huge. So for me, you have to be able to get into Man United, and more than any time before is the mentality. Do you have the mentality to stand up and go, you know what, I'm going to actually enjoy wearing this shirt. It feels good. It feels good for me to get out there, represent this football club in any given game, and I'm going to go, right, let's have it.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a Erik ten Hag now, and I was talking to my players after that result, I would say that the name on the front of that football shirt weighs a lot heavier than the name on the back, and is more important than what's on the back of it. That's what you're at right now. That's the football club you're at. That's how every single fan sees it. This is Manchester United. Pardon the pun, it is United. That's how it needs to be. United work when there's a connection with the fans, with the players, like Ten Hag has built. There is a big chain. If any part of that chain breaks, Manchester United fail. You just mentioned Myrtle, little things that have been working behind the scenes that have gone well for United recently. I thought they've had 2 good windows. Yeah, they spent a little bit too much, but it has been decent the last 2 summer windows, what United have done business-wise. I look at the youth team, and now improvement has come there. Garnacho come from that first FA Youth Cup winning team in 11 years.
Yes, yeah.
It says a lot. So there's your link there. There's that. With the youth system entering into the first team, the work upstairs, which has got a bit better, the fans' connection back with the players. All of a sudden, Manchester United are big news. They've won a trophy. Any link breaks, this club falls.
And this is under
an institution which needs to be perfect from top to bottom to work.
And this is under the ownership of the vultures.
Exactly.
And
that's saying a lot.
That's what I say to you. He's saying so much. If they leave, and I touch the wood, if they leave, I won't be as devastated about the 7. I'm telling you now. That's how big it is for me. It's like winning like the Champions League or winning a couple of league titles.
Yeah.
That's what it would mean to me. Because could you imagine the fans feeling super connected to the whole of the football team?
Oh,
right. Imagine that.
It.
Imagine being fully connected to the football team. In 18 years, I'm not gone in that store, mate. In 18 years, I've not gone in that store. Like, today they leave, that's my first thing I'm going to do, is to go in that store and, you know what? Get a shirt, walk around, see it because 18 years ago since the last time I've been in there. So is that what you're talking about? For the first time, I honestly remember I was tweeting this out. I said, we've got a couple of characters in this team that, as fans, we feel like they can relate to us and we can relate to them. We all think we've got the right manager, but we just have them. We have them. I actually think I disagree with it slightly. I think the transfer was a bit of a circus. I think spending 85, the 85 last summer, the 85 million where you could have signed Anthony for 55 or 60 is because and then we don't have enough money for the January to go and get Gakpo. And then who does the damage on Sunday? The guy that the manager wanted. And it is crazy when you think about it like that, how much, like every manager that stepped in at Man United is literally one arm pinned hard behind their back. Like every manager, there is not one manager that you could say under this vulture ownership, right, that they have never experienced fully where it's fully to be backed, for the manager to 100% to be listened to.
If you as a manager coming into Manchester United, would you say 250 million every summer was enough as being properly backed? That's what he started with. Answer that in 1 second. I'm just going to read a couple of super chats now as well. Patrick Scotsman said, we need to invest more in youth. Some of them are diamonds. They are. And I think our investment in giving Garnacho a new contract would be proof that we are looking and investing in our youth system. Tom Best, cheers for the super chat. We lost because we didn't play with the same team that beat Liverpool at Old Trafford. But if we had, we would have been motivated enough to play the whole 90 minutes with what it would have taken to beat Liverpool. I mean, the team, I mean, people I think there is like looking at, cheers for the super chat, but Malacia played instead of Shaw. I remember Malacia having a good game in that one. A lot of people have gone in on Shaw after this Liverpool game. I feel like Luke Shaw's been one of our most consistent players all season, and he's had a bad game. One of the only players to come out and speak afterwards, so I have to give him a bit of credit for accepting that he was diabolical. Sancho played in that game. Sancho was on the bench. There's been a lot of fans asking why we're not using Sancho more. Weghorst, another one who has come in for criticism. There's a lot of players. Every single player should come under criticism, but I mean, in terms of what I just asked you before, the super chats then, Nuruddin, it's like the summer that Ten Hag got is what you'd expect a consistent Manchester United summer to be.
Of course.
Would that be the mark, you would say, around 200 million a summer?
Yeah, I mean, 200, and you know the maddest thing, it's because we've had a football club that's not been, for a decade, has won a League Cup, a Europa League, and an FA Cup, and that's not to the standard of Man United. So in terms of the, like, we don't sell well, right? Because of the instruments the Glazers use with their debt and everything, we don't sell players. So this idea, there's many more reasons why they have to go, but to me, it's the ins and outs. So a manager and whoever the backroom staff is, whoever the structure that's built around him, be able to go, right, this play, and plan it out. And that doesn't mean that Man United have to sign every summer. We need to spend 200. No, it means at the crucial, when there's surgery, major surgery that needs to be done, right, into this football club, and regardless what anybody says about Ranić said, spelt it out and said they need 10 new players. He said that. And at the end of the day, deep down, that squad needs there's structural things that needs to be happening, because I'm not going to lie to you, Rashford, if Rashford was ever to get injured, God forbid, if Casemiro was to get injured, if Martinez or Varane, one of them was to allow for a couple, for the next couple of a month on or whatever, then we'll be struggling. We will be struggling. So the idea, Man United, they need the backing. And also when it needs, like in January, proper owners, Adam, would reward the manager. You've seen what you've done. Your players have come in, they've made their mark, the connection's back with the fans, right? Regardless what the fans think about us, this is even if I'm in the Glazers' mind, right? January, you need backing again. There you go, right? There you go. It might come out of your summer budget, but there you go. Here we go. We'll step it in and we'll back you to think, okay, we're going to be competing in all these. Instead of getting, like I said, a loanee from the Championship, and making it even difficult. The whole thing, making it even difficult. But he's done what he's done. At the end of the day, I'm going to put this game aside. And all of them, every one of them needs to get the criticism. But on the whole, there's aspects of him we've enjoyed, aspects of his hard work, endeavour, we've absolutely loved and enjoyed. But we know he is not of the Man United quality and what Man United need going forward. He knows that, we know that, but we're going to support him because you signed. For me, once you sign, regardless what I think about you, I'm going to support you because you're representing that badge. You're wearing that badge.
That's it. Before we finish, I'm just going to throw a few names out there. A few people have been putting a few names in the chat. These are names I want you to tell me, are they United standard? Just give me a simple yes or no. Obviously, we've talked about the forwards, so Sesko is going down as a yes for you. Yeah. Osimhen?
Yeah, from what I see, he's a big game player. He's a big game player from the things that I see, but obviously adapting from the Serie A to adapting to the Premier League. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, but I trust his coach. If he wanted Osimhen, I expect Ten Hag to get the best out of him.
Yes, Lukaku was good in Italy, wasn't he? Just saying. Well, Osimhen looks like a different calibre of player altogether. Yeah. This came up before. This may be the other end of it. Mason Mount?
No.
I agree.
No.
I don't think he is. No. I really don't think he's going to improve us in any way, shape or form on what we've already got in the team. I don't.
The data, he's still young, isn't he? He's still in his early 20s, right? So to me, if Mason Mount was to go and have fantastic next 3 years consistently, then maybe we'll have a different conversation because of his age. I think he might be 24, whatever age he is. So if he was then to improve in the next couple of years and he wanted to come to Man United, yeah, not a problem. But at this moment in time, no.
Yep. I mean, I'm looking at it, guys. Just get your comments in as well with all of these. Mason Mount is bang average with a good coach. Yes. Says Jean-Luc. Just even says Mason Mount is average. I don't think this is the time to judge. I only hope Weghorst wins some trophies with us and leaves and also scores some goals. Yeah, it would be nice to see Weghorst score a goal. Yes, great work rate, but not enough talent, says Renate on Mason Mount. Weghorst, worst player I've ever seen, says Khabib. Harsh again. Really harsh. At least Weghorst gives 110%, says Joe. There is an argument within the chat here about Weghorst, and people are seeing what he does bring. Some people are looking at it more in a brutal way, saying, well, he's a striker, he's not scoring goals. I can understand that a little bit. We have needed it. In the end, he was replacing Ronaldo, and that is a thankless task, really, in terms of numbers.
Yeah. I'll tell you a player who's similar mould to Mount, and I'll take him all day, Mohamed Kundus.
Kundus has been linked with Manchester United. Ten Hag is keen, attacking midfield. After the show, a breakdown of Kundus the other day. I mean, good World Cup.
Yeah, it's not just a World Cup for me. It's like he's got that attributes that can play in multiple different positions, and I think
Kudus is a baller, says Kevin again there. Yeah. People in the chat are liking Kudus, definitely. He stood out. I think he's one of them players again. Sam Fox says Tillemans, no. That ship sailed a long time ago.
I think me and Adam run more and give more in our midfield. than Tielemans. Sometimes I watch Tielemans and think I move quicker than him, and I've had 4 knee surgeries.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, guys, we're running out of time. We're pretty much there, so I'm going to wrap up the show and just say cheers for tuning in again, everybody. Nuruddin, thanks for coming on. Brilliant chat as always. It's been hard work dissecting what happened at weekend, but we got through it in the end, and hopefully
I feel better for chatting to you, Adam.
Yeah, I think we've sort of put it to bed. It's time to move on.
100%.
We've got to start talking about the Europa League and another possible trophy for United now. So that's it, people. No more.
FA Cup, people, the players. If you ever see any of this, Luke, rest of you, get the FA Cup, and then we'll have all won many trophies as they've won. With their greatest season ever.
Keep saying it. Keep saying it. Guys, cheers for tuning in, as always, here on the United Stand. Do hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you can keep up to date with all the new videos coming out. 7, 10 a.m, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 8 p.m. There's loads, and obviously Match Days is packed full of content. So do hit that subscribe button and give the video a like on your way out. But for now, we're out of here. See you later. Matt will be back at 8 o'clock tonight, everybody. We'll see you then.